Got a new one here for you today, guys. As you know, I like to do a lot of weird challenges for myself. I do things like pulling side control in tournaments, letting people pass my guard over and over in tournaments, and I do the same exact thing in the training room. So today, I'm working on doing back attacks while not allowing myself to use rear nakeds. So no chokes. This is going to be something difficult because that's really the main weapon. It's like the king of submissions in our sport. Obviously, arm bars are still available to me. I'm able to get the underhook side arm, move to an arm bar. I'm trying to hold onto his leg because I don't want him to come up onto me. And so when I hold up onto his leg, that frame that he's using with his left arm makes it so that he can come up. And when I'm holding onto his leg, it's kind of a limit on how much he can turn his hips into me. And what I'm gonna look to do here is get his elbows split by throwing my leg over, and you'll see that in a moment. But for right now, he went back to a wrist-to-wrist position, and now he's back to the figure four. I put my shin through his elbow to split the figure four, and then I'm gonna put an X leg position over his biceps to pump it open with the Kimura so that he can't roll out, and I'll get the finish there. Here we go again. This is Jacob, training partner of mine. I think he was a state champion in Pennsylvania as a wrestler, so pretty good grappler. And again, we're on the underhook side of the arm, and I'm looking for different submissions that I can use, trying to get some different ones for you guys. This time, I think I go to a crossbody ride, or as they call it in 10th Planet, they call it a truck. So with the crossbody ride, or the truck, I always put my foot on the ground. You can see that here, because the worst thing that can happen for me is that he takes his right leg and swings it under my foot, and then he ends up an outside ashi on me. And what's really important right now and what you're watching is me battling over that arm. So when I'm pulling that arm, it gives me diagonal control. And then right here, you can see that I was able to threaten a hip lock. He locked his legs due to the threat. And then I was able to get access to his calf for kamikaze. So we'll rewind this here. So he's turning away from me. And once I get his arm, he turns it back into me. I grab his leg so I can open up his hips. And that allows me to thread my foot through. And now I have an actually really strong form of a calf slicer there. I don't typically like the calf slicer as much just because I don't think it's that strong, but when I'm able to get a kamikaze thread, then it's actually a really strong calf slicer. You can see here too, typically if my opponent is bridging up like this, I would just go double fishing with my arms. So I don't actually need a seatbelt grip because he's not gonna toss and turn in this position. He's completely flat, so he can't turtle and he can't bring his back to the mat. So I don't actually need the double diagonal control. I could just let both my arms out and strangle with both arms as long as I have a body lock. But for here, it's a little bit awkward because I don't have that option. So again, I'm moving to a crossbody ride or a truck. And again, you see me trying to control the bottom right leg and the top left arm. And that gives me diagonal control so he can't turtle away from me, because that's one of the main issues. So when I'm pulling him into me with the arm, that gives me access to the legs. And this time, I think we go for a banana split here. But again, I'm getting access to the calf. He doesn't like that. In order to stop the calf slicer, he has to use his legs to kind of break that apart, and that makes his lock weaker, allowing me to get the finish. Another one, this is Ty. Ty's a pretty good grappler. You can see he actually probably has the best hand fighting out of any of these rounds. He's able to fight me at the knuckles a lot, which is really good, and he's also pulling his upper body away from me. So again, I moved to a armbar here, and then I'm looking to try to move into a Ushiro Senkaku, or like a rear triangle, and I totally just messed up. I have no idea why I thought his head was in my legs, and it wasn't. So when I fell to that side, he just kind of came up on me. But I tried to re-contain it and with the Kimura grip, and he actually put a lot of like wrist locking pressure on me, so I just totally lost this, and he actually got into my legs. So, but this is why we do these kind of things, guys. It's really important to like give yourself these challenges in the gym, and that's why I can have the confidence to go do it out on tournaments and in settings where the results matter more, because I play like this in the gym with my partners all the time, and they didn't actually know that this challenge specifically was what was going on. I told them I wanted to do backgrounds, but they didn't understand that I wasn't going to look for rear nakeds because I wanted them to act more normal. So with the body triangle, the reason we want body triangles is not even necessarily to get rear nakeds. It's just locks down the hips much better. And here he is fighting my arms again. I'm able to let his head come out, and I tried to go for the armbar, but he was turning into me too much. So when he was turning into me, it just became an issue that I couldn't actually throw my leg over safely. He would have just came up into my guard. So I had to switch off. Now I'm back into a crossbody ride again. And you can see I'm pushing his arm down. I'm looking for a hammer lock here, but his arm is really straight, so I'm having trouble getting a bend in the arm. And once they turn into you because they're defending their arm, it gives me access to the legs again. So I really like these hip locks and banana splits and things. I've hit them in tournaments before. I think they're really powerful submission. And I really like the crossbody ride game, as you can see, because I feel like it's a very unorthodox area, and unorthodoxy in and of itself is something that is very powerful. Now you saw a little bit of hand fighting there. That was a classic wrist roll. When you have someone has a really dominating 2-on-1 on your arms, you're able to use a motion that goes upwards and downwards with your wrists to break it off. So you can see him doing it again here. And then this time Tai is turning and turtling away. One thing I see that's a problem with most people's back control is when their opponent turtles away from them, they try to maintain the connection with their seatbelt, but you really need to like let go sometimes and use your hands to post up and just get your chest realigned with their back. And that's going to allow you to stay in there more safely. And then right here, I'm looking for a seated katagatame, or I guess it's just a katagatame grip here, but I couldn't quite get the configuration to get my arm over his head to actually reach in and grab my thigh. It would put him into a cycle where basically I'm looking for a type of katagatame, and or he would have to give me his back. And then here, again, we're looking for the armbar. Tried to get into a 3/4 juji, but he put that really good wrist lock pressure onto me again. Not really sure what's going on with it, but I kind of had to let go. So Tai was actually he might have been the most difficult round that day. This is Miles. Now Miles is bridging up into me again, and again, it'd be very easy to go into double fishing with the arms. So double arms, just going both strangle arms, no support arm. But again, I can't do that. So I'm looking to pass his head by, get a Kimura on the bottom arm, and then move to a armbar at this point. But he's being difficult. Again, a lot of hand fighting. And one thing I generally try to look for with the hand fighting is that I want to have my hands on top as much as possible, because then they're closer to his neck. So even if he's faster than me, I just start closer to his neck than he does. So when my arms come up, I'm able to start with a head start, basically. And I'm able to reach his neck before his hand can come up and defend it. But here, it's just, again, good etiquette. Not etiquette, but a good strategy to have your hands on top of their hands. We pass off to an armbar, and he turtles. So I put my shin over the back of his head, and that makes him roll through. I quickly throw the crossface leg over so that he can't roll again. That's an issue I used to have. I had to train that. I had to train myself to do that. And now Miles is actually going to show some really good armbar defense here, because what he's doing is he puts his right hand inside of his right thigh, and he closes his calf over his knuckle line. And so when he does that, it's very difficult for me to pull it out, because you want to fight people at the knuckles to control their hands. And I basically can't. I'm looking for a 3/4 juji to go into a triangle option. He let go. He let go of that safe position he had. And when he back rolled, I just enter into a Yoko Senkaku here. So from this Yoko Senkaku, you play this with the Kimura. And basically, the Yoko Senkaku gets tighter because the more threatening the Kimura is, the more the person has to come close to their own arm and put more of themselves into the triangle. I felt like I had a little bit too much of his mass inside the lock, and so I felt like I needed to really go parallel with him like this, post up on my hand, and then try to like bring my hips down into the back of his neck, and that's a finish I use. Or allow myself to basically block his right foot with my left hand and then roll him over back into a supine position like we tried here. But he left his arm free, and that allowed me to go for the Kimura. So again, those two work really, really well together. Not only from when you have your opponent in supine position and you're on top, but also from things like front headlocks, from rolling transitions like you just saw, and it works really well. It works really well in many cases. So again, we're back on the back. I'm kind of looking for something I can do here. And if you guys see my head position is very particular when I do these rounds, because my head position, especially if I'm on the underhook side like this, I do not allow him to beat my head position. You'll see me pull his head back to the other side multiple times like this, because once my head position is ruined, it's much easier for him to slide his back to the mat. So again, we're looking for this Kimura grip to pass over to an armbar, I think. But I'm not feeling it because he's like moving his body too much that way. So he moved to the crossbody ride. You know, you guys are going to crucify me if you're 10P and see me calling it that, but that's how I know it. Now I'm holding his arm again. And since he tried to like wiggle it free when I grabbed it because he didn't want to get twisted, he actually put it closer to the mat. So that's a dilemma you'll play. And now that I have his hand behind his back, I'm able to use my elbow to rotate his fist up. Let me know if you guys have any other challenges you want to see. I'm always down to try some new stuff. I've got some other ones coming up for you guys, so stick around on the channel if you like this kind of thing.